There's just a few more therapies, right, coming out?
Yes, so there's some new drugs in phase 2, early phase 3 that we are very excited about. I just want to hear from the panelists. So what have you heard? What are you guys doing? What is out there that could come to market in the next 5 years?
So we have a trial, a phase 2 study that's looking at a way to increase cyclic GMP levels, which we know are important in sickle cell disease. There are at least 3 drugs in early phase 2 development that are looking at that pathway. It seems that pathway is important not only in hemoglobin F production, but also in the anti-adhesive pathway, depending on which drug you're looking at. They're all oral.
Okay, that was my question.
And so I think those might be part of the next wave of later phase and maybe FDA approval sort of quality new therapies.
But we need to go from phase 2 to phase 3, which means that these studies have to be completed, and we need to have patients enroll on study and prove that the medication either works or does not work. So what's happening in your neck of the woods with new therapy?
So I think building on the idea of increasing oxygen affinity, a group, Forma Therapeutics, has a pyruvate kinase activator, which is a small molecule allosteric activator of pyruvate kinase. And so what that does is it drives through the glycolytic pathway to make more pyruvate to potentially increase the health of the red blood cell who relies on glycolysis, and also reduces 2,3-DPG, which will then increase oxygen affinity. And so this is another way of getting around at that high oxygen affinity route to potentially benefiting the disease.
Excellent. And Jules, what's happening in your part of the world?
So, there was a study done a while ago called the DOVE study. It was actually presented at ASH several years ago. And what we found, it's a study of prasugrel, which is a platelet inhibitor. And it specifically inhibits the certain receptor on the platelet. And by doing that, the hope was we could prevent pain crises. Now, the study was a multinational study, and unfortunately it failed to show significance. But it trended towards significance in adolescents, suggesting that perhaps adolescents could benefit from this platelet inhibitor. It was also notable, though, that they didn't get as much platelet inhibition as we wanted. And so the study was not going to be redone with the same drug, but instead is being studied in a different drug called ticagrelor. It looks at ticagrelor is targeting the same platelet receptor and specifically is looking to inhibit that platelet with a little bit more inhibition with the goal that hopefully that will show to be preventative for pain crises. And so that's called the HESTIA study, and it's pretty exciting as well.
All right, so we have new drugs in the pipeline, and hopefully in the next 5 years, we'll have more tools in the sickle cell treatment toolbox. And so I want to thank everybody on behalf of the panel. We hope that you found this peer exchange to be useful and informative, and please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or need additional information. Thank you so much for being on this webinar.